Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the LinkedIn Live seminar today. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to see where everyone is dialing in from today, so feel free to drop the city and country you're in. It makes the world feel much smaller when we see that. So thank you. So we're here today from sunny, I should say Waldorf actually, because we're in a little town down the road from Waldorf, which most people wouldn't know around the world. It's probably not in Princeton, New Jersey. It's Lyman, which is just a next door town to Waldorf, which is SAP's headquarters. It's a sunny day. We closed the curtains because there was too much glare behind us, but it's a nice day here. So I'm joined here today with two good friends, Daniele Croce and Stefan Schoepfel. Stefan is the CEO of the Value AI Institute, a company that helps businesses around the world generate positive business outcomes with AI. Daniele Croce is the CEO of a company that has been next door to Waldorf, or actually in Waldorf for many years. Over 30 years has been working together with SAP in the Waldorf area, and has built a company, a very successful company over many years in that space. And I'm Bob Cummings, I'm the CEO of LeapGreat. And the reason it's a very unusual day today, it's rare that you have three people in the same place at the same time nowadays. It seems everything's remote, but we're actually meeting here to see how we can do some joint scenarios for Agentic AI and helping companies and our customers to transform their businesses using Agentic AI. And that's what the subject is for today's talk, and we're very excited to have a conversation. So I will be kind of the host today, but I'll warn you up front, I can't resist this topic, so I'll probably be wearing two hats, and it'll be more of a conversation, but I'll try to lead it to keep us in time. Feel free to use the comments section for any questions or comments you might have. We'll try to leave a little bit of time at the end to answer any questions that might come up, and we'll take it from there. So thanks so much. So yeah, let's maybe dive right into see a couple of different parts of the globe. I haven't seen anything from Asia yet. Let's see if that comes, although it's a bit late here in the day, so maybe the Asians must be asleep. So anyway, yeah, let's address maybe the elephant in the room right away. I think SAP migration is a big topic. Transformation is in everybody's mouth. We know that most of the world is thinking about how do they move into the next generation. But we know it's heavy and a high-risk undertaking. But today we're not just talking about the mechanics. We're looking at really the dynamics of these projects. SAP announced at Sapphire the autonomous enterprise. Today we're kind of looking at autonomous transformation. So let's start with that. So Daniele, maybe I'll point the questions at you first. So we're dedicating this entire session to migration. Haven't we actually been doing migrations really like this for decades?
Yes, certainly, Robert. Anyway, SAP migrations are still a remarkably tough nut to crack. The timelines scare people, and the costs are daunting. We would all love the sci-fi dream of an intelligent, autonomous co-pilot flying the project cockpit and landing the plane for us. But to be real, yes, SAP and its partners, they do have great tools, but currently there is no magic migrate button for a new release. Where things have changed is AI agency. We are now building AI agents that can handle complex, tedious tasks faster and cheaper than ever before. AI won't certainly make your executive decisions, but we have made it our mission to get SAP implementations as close to the push of a button as technologically possible.
Yeah, so Stefan, let's see from your point of view at the Value AI Institute, you're always on the lookout for real economic value behind AI. And every one of us has played with AI recently, and we've become amazed by what it can do, right? But the corporate use cases are still a little bit lacking, right? We hear on the one hand, everybody is amazed and scared, but on the other hand, they're also sometimes a bit disappointed about what AI really brings. So is AI really ready for a complex SAP transformation today, or are we jumping the gun?
No, I mean, you're right. A lot of hype around AI as being used for personal productivity. But if you look from a business perspective, there are really, if you're very honest, very few AI business cases that scale in a company and that provide high business value. I would say with the only exception being software development. But if you look beyond software development, so what are the true business value bringer use cases? What are the superpower use cases? So if you want a use case that brings a lot of business value, it's something that would connect to the key data assets of the company and the key processes. So if you manage to connect to the data and the processes in a company, that has the potential to provide a very good business use case. And I would say we are discussing today SAP implementation, and my bet is that this may be an area where we're able to prove that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for me, I think people often ask, like, where is the entry point for AI during these migrations? And I always remember an old saying which says, if you're holding a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, right? And to me, sometimes AI is a bit like that right now. You have AI in your hand and you're looking for, everything looks like a nail, right? And I kind of think also from our experience that, I think AI itself is not the end in itself. It's first important to understand what you want to do instead of just hunting for the AI scenarios. And I think these transformations have a predictable life cycle, going from business case through design to build and so on, then to roll out. And even before AI came on the scene, there were many things you could optimize and automate. Standardized automation, as we've known it for years, like RPA has done a great job of optimizing certain things. And yet many companies still also don't use those basic approaches. So I think there's still a long way of what one can do, both with conventional tooling as well as with AI. But I think when you have the right data, it's like what you said, Daniele, when you have the right data, the right processes in place, and you already know what you're trying to automate, and you maybe already have some automations in place, AI can do real magic then, almost. I mean, we know it's not magic, but it feels like magic sometimes, because then you can see at a huge speed, very fast, you can see these things come. And the real bottleneck, I think, is the endless alignment we have with unstructured and structured data. I think the things we've automated in the past were structured things. Now we can bring the whole world of unstructured data, I think, in it. So, Daniele, I think in your experience and with what you're seeing at REALTECH, I think a lot of companies have been holding on to their legacy systems for a very long time. They kind of have stable, structured environments that they trust. How do we convince customers, especially conservative ones, that they can move now, especially when this new animal has appeared called AI? How do we show them that there's value in actually making a move?
Well, the starting problem is that the ECC is a very stable and excellent backbone for companies. And over the years, they have perfected it, they have enhanced it. And it's really a difficult decision to replace something that isn't broken. So on the other hand, SAP over these decades has put a lot of fundamental improvement into ERP. And now with AI and the autonomous enterprise, it is even a real big leap forward. But the customer needs to recognize this value first. If we can show this reality by giving them an early test drive of that future, and secondly, show them that it is not as difficult as they thought to get there. Then we have seen that they are really willing to consider moving and using this new way of transforming. In fact, I think it is a lucky thing that most of them waited, because AI changes now the landscape. With our offering called Smart Transform, we can use AI to build a digital twin of their future system very quickly. This allows them not only to test drive, but also to quickly refine and adjust their target. You mentioned it already, the biggest failure point in migration is poor alignment. The rapidly front-loaded systems now can act as a living, breathing digital twin that continuously consolidates, corrects, and aligns data with systems, so everyone sees the same picture as it evolves. It moves a company from a reactive stance to a proactive one by flagging risks and bottlenecks before they happen. In our experience, once a CIO sees his or her future with everything running in a digital twin and they can really touch it, then the fear recedes and they want to move fast and start.
No, that's a good point. Stefan, what do you think?
I would totally agree. And I mean, if we look at traditional project approaches, a lot of the very valuable time of IT employees and also business employees is spent on collecting all structured and unstructured data across the current systems, across many file servers. And that's maybe also one of the reasons why, of course, these huge projects are hugely unpopular with these team members that you urgently need for a successful project. And the big opportunity with AI is that AI can automate this process, collecting the data from all the places within the company, in the existing systems, across the file servers, across all the PowerPoints, the meeting protocols, and summarize the data, harmonize the data. And that's what you need in the beginning of a project, but you also need that on an ongoing basis, because the requirements are changing, new protocols are added. So it's AI puts like a kind of a harmonization and summarization layer into your project, and that dramatically reduces workload for IT and also for the business people, which are key for the project.
Yeah. So I liked one of the things that you said, Daniele, which is that it's probably a good thing that people waited now, right? Because for years we've been wondering if people, how do people move? Because we know most of the world is still in the ECC world and in an old world. But in a sense, it's actually a great opportunity, because now the world has genuinely changed. We see that definitely this autonomous enterprise, which looks like a real reality, because when we see every day the progress that AI is making, it kind of also throws up the old question about greenfield versus brownfield, right? What should one do? Should one just lift the old world into the new, or should one really take a new look at the world and go forward? And in a way, I think this all or nothing mindset of either we do all green or all brown is now, I think we can now, with some of the possibilities we can see, we can have the best of both. You can get the best of the new, and it's easier to bring part of the old with you, so you can have a green mixed with brown, if you like, right? And so I think to me, I think treating an ERP migration as a purely technical exercise where we just bring back, copy and paste what we had in the world into the future is sometimes, I think, a bit of a lost opportunity, especially when you see what's possible now, because these projects only happen every 5 to 10 years. It's a rare window of opportunity to automate your business. You don't do ERP transformations every couple of years. You do it, it's kind of like a once in a decade thing. And it's a bit like, I always say, it's a bit like moving to a new home, right? It's one of the rare chances in life, we have to really declutter the attic and the basement, right? And to clean up our house and throw away what we don't need. If we just pack up our old clutter and move into the new house unchanged, you've simply transferred your old inefficiencies into a more expensive environment. And if you don't use this upgrade and this opportunity as a way to really improve business, because business will change now, processes will change, company structures exist because of processes in a company. If processes change because of AI, the company will change. So I think what we're trying to do together, which I think is really exciting, is find a more surgical way of helping that selective transformation, if you like. So Daniele, I mean, maybe one thing, you've been in the tooling business for 30 years now, with running, you were the founder of REALTECH, and you know, I think when you started, there were very, very few tools, right, for these kind of projects. And today there are dozens of tools that in a normal company, you'll see many, many tools for all sorts of things, for design and testing and operations. So how will AI change that world?
Yes, indeed, there are many tools, and usually there are islands like sitting for themselves and producing output that is not interconnected. And I think with the smart transform platform, we can put everything into one place to navigate all the information. And AI can act as a translator and synthesizer. It bridges the gap by interpreting, harmonizing, and synchronizing data flows between completely different tools and the S4 system itself. So it breaks down the tool silos and creates the context for AI to create even unexpected outcomes. At the end, our ultimate goal here is the complete end-to-end orchestration across the entire software stack, and do that from the very beginning of the project.
Right. Yeah, so I think, I mean, it's a great segue into the topic of, you know, we recently had a press release where our three companies have worked together on marriage of the different aspects of your leading edge AI with your technologies and the approaches that we bring from LeapGreat. And I think the important thing is, I think you mentioned the word islands or silos, right? Which I think is really the problem. If you've ever managed one of these projects, it's really like taking a boat and going from one island to another. And the problem is there's the data island, there's a reporting island, there's the code remediation island, there's all this, and trying to connect all this. And I think what's important is to kind of bring transparency to that, bring alignment to that, bring speed and efficiency to that, so that a project leader or a CIO can then, they know what they can do when, where, and how. And that's where we can speed up. What would you say, Stefan, from your aspect?
I think it gives a new opportunity. So as we discussed before, in traditional projects, a lot of the very skilled resource time is bound with operational tasks. And now we imagine a world where AI moves away all these operational tasks and provides a new transparency over the system, but also over the opportunities that you have to automate the processes and better support your future business. So that gives a new transparency and also much better decision support for management.
Yeah. And Daniele, what would you say?
Well, certainly AI introduces new technical demands also from the infrastructure perspective. On the other hand, Smart Transform uses AI to synthesize the application, the project, and the infrastructure. It gives you, at the end, a solid foundation for a holistically approach of these projects.
Yeah, I think that's probably the key, where if we were to figure out if we try to synthesize that and say, I think AI only makes sense if you know what you want to do. It's all about the question you ask, right? So maybe if I just, for a tangent, right, were to say, you know, I remember when we were in the early days when we saw Google come up, and we remember the dot-com revolution. Everybody was saying, oh, the world's going to completely change because all data is at your fingertips. So everybody panicked that, the world's going to be turned on its head, all jobs will disappear because you get all the information you need out of the internet, which might be true, but you need to know what you want, right? I mean, just staring at the empty field of Google is not going to tell you anything. You have to go into the world. And now it's a little bit the same with AI. It is incredible. It really is an incredible technology. But at the end of the day, it will only do what you ask it to do, right? You need to know what it is that you want to achieve. And in our business, when we're thinking about what the companies want to do, is they're trying to, of course, move from point A to point B, and they're daunted by the complexity, the cost, the risk involved, the time that it takes, and I think if we're able to break those problems down and start with the complexity, bringing transparency, simplifying, then seeing what we can speed up, what can we reduce the work effort with, what can we reduce the risk. If we know what the questions are, and I think that's what's been interesting in these days when we work together, is to break down those questions and really touch on the real issues that the customer is trying to solve. That's when we will get the benefit, I think, from AI. And even better, if we can think ahead for the customer and we can put those into skills and projects in AI which can be reused, because one of the problems with AI today, it can do a lot of things, but if you don't really know what you're asking properly, it can get expensive as well. You can burn a lot of tokens, right? So how do we pre-structure it and make it easy to consume? So what we've been trying to do here is really, as we said, from Stefan's point of view and the Value AI Institute, is look at what are the outcomes that these companies want from AI. With Daniele and REALTECH, we're looking at what are the technologies and agentic AI that is needed to achieve that. And from LeapGreat, we're trying to see how can we bring all of that very quickly to the front of the project so that you can actually have it all in your seat and in the driver's seat, so that you can very quickly, in a simple, easy to navigate way, reduce the time, the cost, the risk, and so on that we've always seen. So I think if we try to kind of wrap up now, I think maybe what would be good is maybe if you can think of like what would be like a flying golden rule as you're advising, because I think a lot of our viewers and people we speak to, and I think for you on the call, many of you speak to customers and people, maybe you are customers, maybe you are working on this. How do you advise people to think about AI and look at it? So what would be your closing kind of summary, would you say, Daniele?
Well, I think we have been discussing now and during our workshop that Smart Transform creates a context, and I think this is the foundation, the data, for making AI, let's say, make a magic happen. So, and I think that the rule that the old rule, garbage in and garbage out, still applies. So AI can only be as smart as the data that you feed it in. So, and a clean baseline, a clean data structure gives you a huge springboard for optimization and acceleration and quality efficiency and cost efficiency. And this is what we have been discussing. If we use Smart Transform to create this context so that we can ask AI to perform certain tasks, like synchronizing documentations or creating documentation, this will really work and bring these benefits that we expect.
Yeah, no, perfect. So I think key is, like you said, the word context. If you had to wrap it up, it's really like that. If you don't have that, the thing won't understand, right? I mean, AI at the end of the day is a little bit like a human, right? If you give them the right information, they can do right things in context. So Stefan, how would you summarize it?
I would say start in an area that has lower complexity, but very high value. So start to create like a brilliant first showcase. And then from this showcase, this can be a daughter company, or this can be maybe a legacy system that is long time due to be upgraded. And then from this business case that provides a lot of business value, then expand to the entire company. And of course, be bold and start to scale quickly to benefit from all the efficiencies that can be created and new opportunities that can be created.
No, great, thank you. So I think my final 2 cents, if I view it from my side, I would say, you know, from the day I started I had a very good boss when I first began. He always said, don't start with technology, start with business always, right? And he said, because if you just try to look for a use case for technology, you eventually get frustrated. You have to think of what business problem you're trying to solve. So start first with, let your business goal dictate. And what you might find out is that you can reach your business goal even sometimes without AI, right? Sometimes there might be other technologies which are there, but if you're doing it, I think AI is a beautiful piece of the puzzle. I mean, we always all remember the days, do you remember of when blockchain suddenly came? Everybody had blockchain projects. What happened to those, right? I mean, blockchain is now a reality, right? It's behind a lot of what happens in the world, but it was at a time when if you just had blockchain in your hand, you didn't really know what to do with it, right? So, but I think AI is really a kind of a new dimension that comes to a multi-dimensional world, and it's a synthesis of that. But to start with the business problem you're trying to address first. Otherwise, if you're trying to use AI to reduce complexity and you don't do that, I believe it just makes your world more complex, because now you have another thing in your landscape which is called AI. So if I try to summarize for what we had today, I think AI is of course not magic, but if you prepare a very good foundation, you give it good context, you give it a good problem definition, it can almost be magical. And we've seen that, and we're seeing that, and it keeps surprising us every day, you know. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you, Robert. No, and thank you for everybody who joined today. I don't see any questions at the moment. If give you a few last seconds, if you did want to have a question, but if not, I really want to thank all the people who joined us today or who are watching the recording. We appreciate that. We often see that there's a ton of watching of these recordings often, so we're very thankful, and with that we'll give you 1 minute back, and then it's a perfect half-hour recording. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.